So, Congressman, there is uneasiness among swing district Republicans over nearly $1 trillion in potential cuts to Medicaid. And today, Speaker Johnson was asked point blank if he could say that will not happen.
The estimate is, I think it's $50 billion a year in fraud alone in Medicaid. Those are precious taxpayer dollars. Everybody is committed to preserving Medicare benefits for those who desperately need it and deserve it and qualify for it. What we're talking about is rooting out the fraud, waste, and abuse. Every taxpayer, it doesn't matter what party you're in, you should be for that.
How do you decode that, Congressman?
Well, Chris, what the Speaker's trying to do is dealing with this squeeze that Republican leaders have faced for a good 15 years now. John Boehner had to go through this. Paul Ryan had to go through it. Kevin McCarthy and now Mike Johnson, where you have the more conservative members demanding more ambitious legislation. And then the majority makers, the swing district members saying, no, let's not go too far. Let's be careful. Let's not do anything too controversial. And what those moderates are worried about is what happened in 2017 and 18. Republicans then pursued a very health care heavy budget reconciliation bill to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And ultimately, that ended up costing House Republicans some 40 seats in that 2018 election. So Mike Johnson is trying to tell these members, look, this is mostly a procedural vote. We're not detailing any cuts here. Sure, it's a budget framework. It does matter in the legislative process, but we can probably hit the numbers by eliminating waste and fraud. It's a big number. I don't think it can only rely on cutting waste and fraud, and that's why some of these more centrist members are still worried.
Yeah, and Governor, according to The Hill, House Republicans, and you were one, are trying to spin the possible Medicaid cuts as, again, not cutting benefits, just expenditures. States can feel free to make up the difference in costs and keep coverage exactly as it is. Let the governors take the heat if voters don't like it. How's that going to go over with red state governors?
Chris, this is all just a game, okay? We're $36 trillion in the hole. It's probably likely we're going to add several more trillion to the debt, which is a sword of Damocles hanging over the heads of the next generation. And no, they're not outlining where the cuts are. Guess what? When I was Budget Committee Chairman, I outlined where the cuts were going to be. I put the rubber on the road so that nobody could. Wait a minute.
So you're saying it can be done, Governor? It can be done?
No, not with no. Waste, fraud, and abuse. That's just a political cover. That's ridiculous. Yeah, is there some waste? Is there some fraud? Is there some abuse? Of course there is. But you can't. That's just a little shot glass full of stuff. You've got to get into the roots of it. And if I said all along, I'm all for them trying to dig in, but don't dig in by shattering people's lives. There's a way to do this from the bottom up. I was there when we did it. We had surpluses for 4 years. But right now, this budget resolution is a whole bunch of nothing because I don't even think at the end of the day that they don't meet their own resolution. I don't think they could even do that because there's no sense of how they would do it. See, the problem is the spenders down there, which, by the way, the difference between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to spending is they both love it. It's just that the Republicans feel guilty when they do it. You know, I'm going to lay one novel idea on you that no one that I've heard ever brought up, but I heard about it in a little chat with somebody. Donald Trump could help this country if he said before he left his term that he wants a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution to force the Congress to do its job, just like states do their job. When I was governor, I had to balance the budget. What we need in Washington is the same requirement. We need the same discipline to get it done. Now, you're not going to do it overnight, and there will be exceptions. But over time, if you were to put that in place, we would keep this problem of running a printing press, creating inflation because we can't pay our bills, which undermines the future of our kids. This would help a great deal. I hope that somebody will tell them I suggested it. Think about doing it. It will help this country financially and economically.
Well, you also wonder if it couldn't help us going through this every single year over and over again. And the reality is, Congressman, this causes a lot of angst for people. People are worried that something's going to happen to Medicaid. And Democrats are leading into that threat while protesting the House's budget plan. I want to play what they said today.
Children will be devastated. Families will be devastated. People with disabilities will be devastated. Seniors will be devastated. Hospitals will be devastated. Nursing homes will be devastated. So let me be clear. House Democrats will not provide a single vote to this reckless Republican budget. Not one.
So let me just give you one example, Congressman. Medicaid is the largest payer of nursing home bills. They cover 61% of total spending, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. If there were those cuts, I mean, do you want to be the member of Congress facing constituents if mom or dad or grandma and grandpa gets kicked out of their nursing home or the bills can't be paid? Or I just wonder at what point it starts to influence voters, even if they're not voting per se. But again, we saw that consumer confidence is down. We see that people are concerned about the price of eggs and about the price of beef. And if they're also worried about this, is there a net effect if you're a member of Congress?
Chris, health care is a very politically potent issue. And there's a lesson for Republicans from 8 years ago. Back then, House Republicans passed a bill to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. That bill did not become law. 20 House Republicans voted against it on the House floor. Yet a lot of those Republicans, including those who voted against it, were punished and lost the 2018 elections. This is a very potent issue, and this is why senators are using a different approach. They want to focus on the issues that unite Republicans and that they believe the public is behind right now. Immigration being first and foremost. The country is behind the president on the immigration issue. That's why it's so prominent in the Senate budget plan. There's national defense in there. There's American energy production, which again is very popular. So the Senate is going for a more modest piece of legislation that's politically safe. This House instrument, it is supercharged because it touches on health care. And we've seen from past elections that issue can be very, very damaging for Republicans.
Melanie Zanona, Congressman Carlos Curbelo, and Governor John Balance the Damn Budget Kasich. Thank you all.